Hi, this is Ed and welcome to Esoteric Detective. I'm joined here by Bob today and he's going to share an interesting Mandela Effect with us. He's the director of I Shot JFK, The Shocking Truth, and welcome Bob. And so what's the Mandela Effect?
Well, Ed, when all this started to break with the Mandela Effect, I was studying it like everybody else. And for me, it really was only a matter of like the last 3-4 months. I didn't really come across the Mandela Effect at all until about maybe, I would say, like I said, 3-4 months ago. And I had found the Mandela Effect mainly from discovering Esoteric Detective Channel, thinking it was great, wanted to think about contributing to it right off the bat. And then the other thing was I had done a movie a few years ago called I Shot JFK, The Shocking Truth, which essentially took the interview, a very, very amazing interview with a guy named James Files, who claimed that he was the famous grassy knoll gunman, for years thought to be the guy shooting from the grassy knoll in front of Kennedy and delivered the fatal headshot, which essentially shattered President Kennedy's head, basically. There were some definite different memories of the assassination that apparently thousands of people had, if not more. It was very confusing to me. I could not imagine how anybody could think for a minute that there were not 6 people in the car, first of all. But when I saw the work done here on the channel, and I saw some other things out there on the web, I was amazed. I could not believe that there were people thinking there were 4 people in the car. Well, sure enough, I looked into it from Esoteric Detective Channel here and other people and other places, and there seems to be a lot of evidence that there were indeed only 4 people in a different kind of car. So why would there be 4 people in a car? What evidence was there? Well, the evidence seems to be pretty voluminous. There appears to be the museum that clearly shows a 4-seater car. There's a prolific, I think it was Life magazine, that ran a retrospective of the assassination fairly close to its event that showed a 4-seat car with flowers in it. I mean, and then recreations of the event in a 1977 movie years ago, and also in a recreation made by apparently either the government or for the Warren Commission, very close to the assassination itself in '63. Again, a 4-seater car. How could this be? So right away, my Mandela Effect starts with, is it possible there were actually 2 different events and they seem to have overlapped? But I got to tell you that when you start looking at the way that the Mandela Effect has created some changes to the assassination, you have to look at even what here at Esoteric Detective Channel did, which I thought was wonderful in terms of research. It showed that there's a version of the event now that implicates Jackie Kennedy of maybe being involved, like a Manchurian candidate in the assassination itself, where she's sort of cradling John's head, or getting close to him anyway, after he's shot apparently in the neck area, whether it was an exit wound in the front or a shot in the back of the neck. But regardless, Jackie's seemingly coming to his aid very differently in the Mandela Effect version of the 6-seater car that we have right now. So not to confuse anybody, or including me here, but I want to make sure we're clear what I'm saying. Jackie is doing something very different around John, who apparently is hit with the first shot. The way I remember it when I did my documentary a few years ago was that Jackie came almost to his aid, almost very gingerly. She really wasn't getting that close to him. She was trying to figure out what was going on. Was he choking? It wasn't really clear what was going on. His hands were up like this, but there was no guarantee that she knew what was going on. And as she leaned in my version, my history of remembering, after studying the film for hours and hours in an editing bay with an editor, was that Jackie was very, very carefully trying to see what was going on with John, and all of a sudden, boom, the head explodes. But now it looks like Jackie is right over him, almost like manipulating him in such a way where maybe she's shooting a gun up through his, like, upper area, lower area of his head. Now look, I know it sounds insane. I get it. I'm the first guy to go, that's really interesting, but that can't be true. But the more I look at it, I must say, there is something going on with Jackie, the way she's grabbing something from one hand, putting it in the other hand.
I just had a question, Bob. So, just making this clear, you're an expert on the JFK assassination, and to you, when you look at the film, it doesn't seem to match your recollection. You're saying that you do not remember it the way it is, like when you looked at the footage, you were kind of a bit shocked?
Exactly. I do not remember. We were studying so carefully the area around Jack's head, Jackie herself, the way the whole hands came up to kind of like deal with whatever was going on with his neck. He was reacting in a certain way, and we knew that he was doing that mainly for many reasons. He had allegedly a back brace on. He was very, very stilted in the way he kind of leaned forward a little, and the way she was acting. So I was very clear that when I first saw this Mandela effect of Jackie maybe shooting him and putting something like a gun into her bag, right away I was taken aback because it did not look right to me. There was too much action. She was doing too many things. Granted, many people for years have been saying that she was either trying to get out of the car or she was reaching for a piece of bone or brain matter that was on the back of the car, which you can see some little piece or something. But by no means does that mean that we noticed her gesticulating with her hands like that and seemingly trying to do something with her hands while she was jumping to the back of the car. So
you have looked at that film in an editing bay, frame by frame, very close at the film. It's worth noting that, you've done a documentary on that, and the Zapruder film was, is a focal point of any documentary on JFK, of course. And you would have been aware at the time, because of your investigation into it, all the numbers of conspiracy theories revolving around, all different ways that Kennedy could have been assassinated. So you would have been aware if there was a conspiracy theory involving Jackie.
There is no doubt. I have studied that film not only when I was a teenager watching it in New York when Geraldo Rivera started to break this out by showing the Zapruder film in all its glory, in color, graphically, and all of that, analyzing frame by frame. Robert Grodin wrote the book High Treason. I was studying this in detail before I ever moved from New York to do the TV shows I do and have done for Fox and other people. So for me, there is no question that I would have noticed, and so would my editor, and so would all the other conspiracy theorists out there, would have noticed for years Jackie's odd behavior just as the headshot is happening and she's jumping out of the car. That doesn't look right to me, Ed. Something about that moment when Jackie is hovering around her husband, trying to give him comfort, allegedly, and then all of a sudden going from trying to give him comfort to literally doing something with her hands, and then all of a sudden trying to jump to the back of the car. It's just so strange looking that I know that would have triggered a lot of people to investigate what was going on behind there with her hands, the whole thing. And I never heard about it, never thought about it, never saw it till about a few months ago when Esoteric Detective and other people were talking about this scene of Jackie. It's unbelievable. It's like the film has changed. It's like there's something about the Zapruder film that has changed. Maybe there's some kind of middle step. Maybe when the timelines came together, however they did, in a quantum world, quantum physical world somehow, there is a change of a lot of things. Change of Jackie. People say that she was a Manchurian candidate. Maybe there was a different timeline, maybe more than two, where Jackie was utilized as a Manchurian candidate, and there might be 3 timelines involved here, if not more than 3. So I think we're dealing with a wild issue. When we're talking about the Mandela effect and the JFK assassination, we're in some deep, deep, heavy ground right now.
So you're going to, I mean, you brought up this before when I was talking about it, you're going to look into this a bit further, maybe ask your editor or ask people around the same time that were involved in the project and see what they remember.
I go a step further. I have a pretty good friendship with Oliver Stone's son, Sean.
Right.
I think there will be a way, Ed, to get Oliver Stone to comment about whether or not, when he was making the movie JFK, ironically, with Kevin Costner, again, who's part of the Mandela Effect with Field of Dreams. It seems like there's this like matrix, if you will.
James Earl Jones, Kevin Costner, right?
James Earl Jones, Kevin Costner, James Earl Jones again on the, Luke, I am your father, no, I am your father. It's almost like when somebody was playing with, I'm not hinting here, but maybe I am. If I'm playing with the CERN Large Super Collider, or I'm playing, with, like a scientist would play around with the D-Wave computer that's newly invented, right. Maybe I'm going to start using touchstones, cultural touchstones, and well-known names of people. And
then kind of, you can measure it from a distance, couldn't you? These are very popular references, so if you changed something small, you could say, well, it's measurable. One thing interesting about that is, and I think it was February from Australia, there came confirmation of something called the John Wheeler experiment, which really did show at a quantum level that people can actually affect reality and the fabric of reality. So even though these theories, when you first introduce someone to the Mandela Effect, seem very highly abstract, at the heart of science, they actually, part of a lot of these fundamental theories like quantum mechanics.
No, I think you're hitting Ed, you're hitting a very interesting point here. There does appear to be some kind of quantum effect that has occurred, and we found out in quantum physics now. We're very clear about this as a society, as a human race, really, that matter, as we know matter, and reality, as we know reality, exists as a possibility, a probability, until consciousness. There's a little debate about this, but until consciousness decides to measure that reality. And that's very important that people understand what we're saying. That in quantum physics, as it relates to the Mandela effect, it is quite possible that scientists using either the D-Wave computer or the CERN Large Collider or anything like that, they've come up with ways now, apparently, to alter the association between probability and actuality. So that if you could find a way to punch into a different parallel universe, you might be able to find the other probability or possibility where a writer of a movie decided to go with, if you build it, he will come. Maybe that was a rough draft. Maybe it wasn't even going to be the movie version. Maybe it was going to be a different way to express the same movie theme, but a different way. And somehow, even though no one ever shot he, it became he. And he was just a maybe. It wasn't going to be he. It was just something, the writer was kicking around on one of the timelines and one of the parallel Earths that we're talking about. So I know it sounds mind-boggling to people to think, oh my God, there are more than one parallel universe or more than one parallel Earth. Well, they believe in science today there's more truth to this than maybe we realize. In the quantum studies, they found that you could have 2 particles, but it's one particle, but it's in 2 different places. And this particle only goes to one space when an observer, in this case a human being, focuses on it. And then it goes to one spot. It's hard to understand what we're saying, but if you really think about it, quantum physics has proven that we do not exist in a reality until a consciousness decides to observe it. So the Mandela Effect with JFK has so many layers. Unreal.
Well, on that note, Bob, I think we'll continue the investigation, and you'll keep us updated in following episodes. And yeah, that was a very interesting Mandela effect. I'd say that would be quite shocking for a lot of people.
We're going to follow up on it, and people should be tuning in for that and subscribe.
If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. And as always, that's Bob, and this is Ed here. And until next time, guys. See you later.